You're worried about that.
Hello, yay!
Hey!
Hello! Hi, and welcome to our Dreams music stream. I'm here with our amazing audio department, Bogdan and Tom and Ed, and we're going to show you a bunch about creating music and dreams today. And notice we're saying music, not audio. We are going to be showing all of the awesome stuff that you can do in audio and dreams later down the line. Today we're just going to focus on music, and at the very end of the stream we're going to answer a bunch of the questions that you've sent us about creating audio and dreams. And I hope, based on what we've seen so far, we're actually going to answer a lot of those by giving you an actual demo of how everything works.
Exactly.
So if you guys want to kick it off, the first thing that we're going to do is show some of everybody's favorite music in the game so far, and then we're going to go through instruments, and then we're going to make some music together.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So, hello everyone, I'm Tom. I'm an audio lead at Media Molecule.
Hi Tom.
And hi Ed, hello. I'm going to show you the very sort of easiest thing you can do to put some music into your level in Dreams. And if you're not a musician and what you want to do is just get your game to sound cool, then what you can do is go to the Dreamiverse, or the sort of audio library place that we have, and find a piece of music that someone else has made. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go into sound mode, and I'm going to go into this place here, and we've specially created a thing, and I'm going to choose a piece of music that I really like and show it to you.
It's worth mentioning, actually, these aren't bits of music from the game. This is stuff that we've made just for fun.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just like a bit of a snapshot of what we sort of sound like when we're mucking around with Dreams.
Quite. So you can browse through this stuff and listen and choose things, and I'm like, no, I don't want that one. No. I want this one, because this is my one. Hooray. So I've just placed a timeline, and you may remember the timelines from a previous stream, or maybe not. But anyway, this is like the thing that contains music. And if I open it up, you can see there's all science. Lots of stuff going on in there. And if I press play the game,
Chill.
so I'm not going to play you the whole piece, but this is something I made earlier. And so
show us a bit more into
a bit
the
more.
track.
You want to see? Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead, thanks. All right, let's skip to the drop.
It's really cool. How long did it take you to make this?
It's probably about, I don't know, maybe a day, maybe a bit less than a day. It's really quick to make music here, because like a bunch of the stuff in here is already just making your life easier. Instruments and sounds are already present, so yeah, you can have a fairly quick time making a piece of music. So yeah, that is a piece that I made called Plimps and Ploons, and I'm going to delete that now because it's someone else's turn to put music in the level.
A piece of Tom.
Ed.
All right, cool. I really like that piece because it's got a load of space, and I think that's really important when you're doing music for games. You have to have space for your sound effects and for your ambience to come through, and that's just a real nice sort of mood-setting piece. So back to our little collection of music clips, and again we made this just for today. There's only 3 things in it because there's only 3 of us. This one is by me, and it's a slightly different vibe. I'm just going to place this down here. Here's the timeline. Hey, I just got a dreamstone. Ooh.
Wow, you did something good.
And then this is basically the same sort of thing. It's a timeline. It's just it's got different bits in it. Here we go. Kind of cuter.
There's a clarinet.
I love zooming into these things.
Yeah.
And there's a little taste there. And when you go into play mode, you don't actually see any of this. So I can hop into play mode and play this little level we've got in the background, little dude. And you can see our timeline has disappeared.
Make him dance.
Make him dance.
Do it.
Just sway around. And I like that particular track because it was very quick to assemble, because it's mainly loops, a very small number of ideas, and then you can just drag these loops out to keep having repeated phrases. It's actually only like 3 main ideas, and you can see that that's just being kind of cut and pasted and cloned.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you've seen us clone stuff in other streams, you know. So it's just
Yeah.
it's just a
Same
case
method.
of.
We'll show a bit of that in the.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Someone like
Yeah,
literally
we'll make-
just asked that, and then he did it, so it was great.
Oh really? What, cloning things?
We're
Yeah.
basically plugged into.
Copy paste.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, copy and pasting. So everything is movable on these timelines. Well, we've shown you what it looks like, but we haven't shown you what they look like when you start editing them. So you can
Yeah.
you can move these things around. You can copy and
Yes,
paste bits.
Exactly.
And that
We'll-
makes it really
we'll
easy
jump
to
in
make
there.
a piece of music like this. Just a
Yeah.
couple of ideas
Yeah.
that you copy and paste. So that's sort of one of my bits of music that I made like last month, I think. I'm going to delete that, and then I'm going to get one of Bogdan's bits in. Off you go, Bogdan.
Go.
Yeah, I was going to show a more sort of intense track that I just made in my spare time as
It is
well.
super intense.
It's kind of more of a chiptune vibe. Called Fluff Buckets.
I love that you sort of hear everyone's a little bit of everyone's personality. It's basically the best thing about music.
It's quite short. I made this in maybe like about 45 minutes or something, just messing around.
Oh yeah.
So that's that's something I was working on the other day. This is just me, like, as I code, I test the tools by making
That's amazing.
random tracks like that, basically.
I saw someone on Twitter actually was like, "Can I make chiptune music in Dreams?" It's like, "Yeah, of course you can."
You can, and
you
I
make
spent
literally
ages,
anything.
like, kind of doing art, like, it's not ages. I made it in 45 minutes, but I spent a bit of time like doing, arpeggios and stuff like that, and kind of classic chiptune
Yeah,
sort of things.
there's some very
yeah.
cool tricks in there to sort of make it sound like it's one of those older sort of.
I like sort of making this maybe a little bit slower. See what that sounds like.
Too much.
That's definitely the best.
Yeah,
No space
that's,
between any notes.
I like
Just like that.
There you go. Fast chipes. That's
So,
the,
I was going to ask you how you pronounce that.
jokes.
cool. Right.
So let's talk a little bit about how you can make something like that, but you can make it in a very sort of simple way. So Ed's driving this
Ah.
bit. So this is kind of like what you might have seen a little bit of already at PSX. but
Yeah,
you
maybe
can-
you've seen
yeah.
some of this before. We want to make every aspect of creating in Dreams sort of as accessible for anybody, regardless of their sort of previous skill level. And the same is true with music. You know, like you can see this really rather crude scene that I put together from other people's sculpts. The same sort of thing can be done in music. So if we go to our little music clips collection and back out of there one, you notice we've got a bunch of tunes here. This is a very sort of stripped down version of the final collection at the moment. These are full songs that you can rearrange and sort of remix yourselves. And on the left here, we've got the beginnings of a collection, which is just, we've called it Groove Starters. But what it actually contains is a few bits and pieces that you can sort of mix and match to start your track.
Yeah.
And this is, they're called groove starters because these are very groovy, sort of just like drum beats and bass lines and synths that you just want to put something quick and fun together. So each of these can be sort of previewed. What's that one? Electro drums. So you know we've got beats at the top here, some bass stabs. So Tom, why don't you choose as one of these for us?
Okay, I say electro.
Electro drum,
Yeah,
that one?
that one. Yeah,
okay,
that one.
so you just grab it and we can bring it into the world. You can see it's a little audio component like that on its own. If you just play the level, start time running, you can hear the music from that little clip. But if we want to arrange that into a piece of music, we want to grab ourselves a timeline. And this is what a timeline looks like when it's naked. It's got nothing in it.
So I've never called it naked.
No.
that's what it's going to be called now.
Naked timeline.
Yeah.
So if I grab this little component here and stick it on there, you can see it automatically sort of scales itself to its full form, which is 2 bars. Grand. Yeah. And I can just drag that out, and you've seen like loops previously in some of the other tracks that we've done. So now we've got like an 8-bar loop of basics electric drums. As you saw, Bogdan was playing the tempo. You can do. And in that collection, you'll be able to find a whole load of other bits and bobs that kind of work together with this. So Bogdan, do you want to choose me some bass?
The wobs.
The wubs.
The full wobs, please.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoops.
You notice when, you may have seen it in previous streams, like these sort of hexagons represent a publication in the Dreamiverse, and you'll find a hexagon for like characters, for models, for things that people have sculpted. And you can see these pretty little visualizations of what the sound actually sounds like. And when you hover over an audio component like that, you get a little preview, just so you can give you some idea of what it's going to sound like. There's our house Wouse hub bass. And it's fun just to mix and match this. You don't have to try and make something sound like, oops, that's the wrong folder.
Instruments, yeah. Go on, grab, those.
Yeah, those.
Yes.
So you can just keep layering these in. And then it stops. I mean, you can tweak the timeline so that it loops and goes back to the beginning when it gets to the end, which is kind of useful for music. And repeat. So you can keep adding like pre-made things like that, but I think to like fully understand like how it really works, we need to actually talk about what these instruments actually really are, and like to go a little bit deeper, because these are just instruments that contain like notes. You can see the notes being played through as we go through. It's not just a single clip. It's a clip of notes.
Yeah, there are notes. There's all the recordings that we use to make that sound, and there's all the bits and pieces used to play it back as well. So if you wanted to take this to the next step, I guess you would find a blank instrument that didn't have any notes in it. You just find like maybe the drum kit on its own, maybe a bass line on its own. So I'm going to hand over to Tom, and maybe you'll find like one of your favourite sort of instruments that you could add to this, and we can like record our own notes. Yeah. So I'm going to should we delete this now?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Deleted.
So,
okay, so we're just going to like choose an instrument each that we really like and just talk about them a little bit before we go into detail about how they work and everything, because I think this is just a nice way to show.
How quickly do you think people said meow, by the way?
People said meow.
Instantly.
Meow, meow, meow. Maybe later we'll show you the meow. It is here.
We can
It's
outdo the
somewhere
meows.
here.
We can do better than the meows.
We've got better than meows.
Yeah, I think
gonna
for
be-
this stream we have like extra special, like better than meow content.
exactly.
meow was so
Better
2017.
meows, yeah.
So I'm going to like choose an instrument from the bass instruments here, because
Grok.
this is something that reflects my musical heritage, which is
Heritage?
all formed heritage. Yes, exactly. Back in the midst of time when the world was young and it was 1990s, I formed all of my musical tastes, and this sort of reflects that. Look, it's day glow as well. It's the colours of the 90s. Brilliant. It's like pink and yellow, and wow, those colours were cool then. So yeah, the point about this, the whole sort of idea about an instrument is you don't need to know what it contains. You can just look at the fields and think, well, there's some interesting things here to explore.
Do you mean like
And if
cornfields?
Like cornfields. A little bit like cornfields.
What are we looking at here?
I'm looking at a pink cornfield. So what we're looking at here is a thing that sounds like this.
What? I can see why this is one of your favourite instruments, for sure.
Yeah, it just sounds evil. I like it. So yeah, that's my favourite instrument. Well, it's not my favourite. There are so many things. It's hard to have a favourite.
Yeah, you can't just pick one, can you? But I mean, like, I'll put on the spot.
I mean, it's called a grok filth bass. It's gotta be good.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, the different areas represent a different sort of treatment of the sound, and I explore and change the quality of the sound by drawing notes across the canvas, and the fields represent a different sort of treatment to the original recording. So when I go into this sort of horrible pimple sunshine thing over here, the sound from the same recording goes.
And how are you actually making that happen?
I'm making that happen by just moving the imp around. So that's using the motion controls to move the imp.
Yep.
And I can move the imp slowly across. And as I move it slowly across, sound changes. Okay, that's enough from me. Goodbye.
No, I want to hear that.
Bass.
I want to hear that all afternoon. That's great.
Bogdan, what's your favourite?
I'm gonna pick a more sort of tonal instrument.
Yeah.
From the synth.
Another synth. Oh yeah, that was a bass, wasn't it? Yeah, cool.
What shall we do?
And you can see there's just tons to choose from already, and this is like still a work in progress. There's going to be loads more.
Also, like someone asked if the piano behind us is an instrument. In
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it
is.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
put show them the piano.
Do you want to hear the
Yeah, go on,
instrument?
put the piano.
we should
Yeah.
just
We
show
recorded
them.
that
I
piano
mean,
and it's in Dreams.
It's a guest on the stream at
Just
this point.
keyboards.
yeah.
I think it's up. And
There
then
is
upstairs
upstairs piano. That's it.
It's
It's
really
really
out.
out.
We've tried to tune
Everyone
it.
loves it, so we put it in the game.
So just so to clarify a little bit what Tom was doing, so you can see under the imp actually, you can see the notes that the different buttons on the DS4 actually play. So I can play those in order to make a scale.
I think we should play the actual piano.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If I tilt the controller left and right, I can kind of get different octaves.
Andreas, can you play the piano for us?
Piano.
Go and play our piano.
That's the touchpad,
Just
by the
improved.
way.
This is the actual
Those
piano.
buttons.
Don't know if you can hear that.
Nice.
There you go.
I think so. The field over here, actually,
Thank you very much. Special guest there.
the field over here in the corner, I think is quite simple. It's just that there's a volume swell on the piano, so as I go in and out, I get that effect.
Yeah, what else does it do?
So I can just actually, I'll record a short pattern actually with
Yeah.
that.
Go on, why not?
So I'm going to turn the metronome and the count-in on, and I'm literally going to record some of these sort of gestural things. 2, 3, 4.
You can't do that on a real piano.
I know, it's like
This
you
piano
do
got
bends
this
with the touchpad. You do bends with the touchpad.
Nice.
What do the other fields sound like?
I think they're quite subtly cues.
Yeah,
in the case
okay.
of this
It's
instrument,
all
there's a bit
to
of reverb
complement
over
the
here,
piano
you can
kind of
see
sound.
reverb.
So, yeah.
And these fields are actually just gadgets you can kind of move around, components. You can just drag around the field. And we'll actually make some of our own. We'll just tweak these. But the thing to kind of take away from this is a 2D performance surface. It's leveraging motion controls to do performance. And we'll show a bit more of the note by note editing in a second. But maybe Ed wants to show an instrument as well.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I mean, I think that's a cool one to show actually where you might go after you've recorded them in that sort of painterly fashion. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you show us what that looks like if you wanted to do some like pitch correction maybe?
Okay, so this is what we call freeform view. The sound has two other views, and the second view is this one called the piano roll view. If I go to the piano roll view, you can see that the notes I recorded, those trajectories, those gestures, they transform to become notes arranged in time. So this piano note, we just take it and make a major chord out of it.
Nice.
I can get in nice and close and do sort of like fine editing here. It's your average sort of DAW kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a piano roll.
So here I made a mistake. I'm just gonna fix that.
A lot of people have been asking like, how do you do like fine detail editing like this? How do you do piano roll editing? Can you make notes as long as you like? Can you change the keys? Like, this is how you do all of those sort of things.
Yeah, if you can see this kind of dot grid, that's the current sort of grid size that I'm editing at. I can change that with simple sort of buttons, basically.
Quantizing, yes.
So you can quantize either
someone asked
before
about
or
that,
after
didn't they?
you've recorded. So if I go back to the other view, that data exists in both views. It's just two ways to view the same music. So it's one way in which you can perform, and then one way in which you can edit the music. You can also actually just go ahead and draw in this view directly if you just want to go in and be really meticulous, with your note drawing. And stuff like that. That's kind of how I made my chiptune track. I, spent a bit more time in the
Draw some bends with this, like.
yeah, maybe I don't know if it actually.
Yeah, I should. So
No, I think
shift
this particular build has an issue with bends.
Oh.
But, you can normally
Sorry
do
about
a bend basically, but not in this build, unfortunately.
That's great.
what
That's
should we-
Well,
yeah,
I
so
think it's
that's
Ed's turn to show us an instrument you haven't
well, I
shown
think
us
let's
yet.
leave that in, and we can.
Yeah, go on, put something
One
else.
thing that's love that funky
Cool.
slide at the
I'm
end.
gonna
No,
stick
don't
this-
delete it. That's cool.
I'm not gonna delete it actually.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna give it some spicy
Yeah,
beats
yeah.
actually. I'm gonna make it really pretty cool. Stick this on the timeline, and then I'm gonna go to our collection of cool beats over here. Give it a hip hop beat.
Yeah. That is perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
really cool.
That's a little hip hop sort of weird track here with the upstairs piano that you can see behind us. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
So-
Ed wants to demonstrate something.
Ed's instrument.
Well, I'll grab an instrument, but a lot of people actually asked about sort of like the effects that you might be able to use on on a particular instrument. So that's like when we call it tunneling in. You sort of go deep into the instrument, and you can kind of open it up and see its insides. But you can also tweak pretty much anything in
Yeah.
Dreams. And
Why don't you
tweaking is
destroy the
like
piano?
give us like a little menu of settings. And I know Alex, our kind of technical director, is super keen to show everybody like every single tweak that
All of
exists
the
in
things.
all of them.
All of the
We haven't got
things.
time to do that, but we'll show you a few of my like favorite ones. Like
Yeah.
somebody I noticed was asking about ADSR, which is like the
Yes.
shape of the notes.
Yes.
So I can actually change that and give
How
it like
loud it is after you've pressed the key. What happens to volume?
if I make that long, every note will have a very long sort of tail on. Cool, and you can tweak the pitch of it, so maybe the whole thing wants to go up the octave. That's
You
lovely.
do some grain things as well. so
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
stuff's good.
This is more on the instrument design side. So if you just want to make a track in a simple way,
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
can pick up
Yeah.
tons of instruments. But this is if you want to make your own, you can edit this and then publish your own instrument.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and every single instrument has all these hundreds of tweaks that you can play with and just mess around with to your heart's content until you find a new sound. So it starts off as maybe a piano, but actually ends up as something completely crazy. So I'm going to turn on granular synthesis, which basically allows us to sort of divide the sound into tiny little nuggets. Which is awesome. So you can just do that. My favourite instrument.
favourite instrument, go
I'm gonna. You've had a bass.
Change the beat.
I'm gonna change the beat into
Yeah.
something a bit different. So instruments. That's quite a cute one. These
But which one's your actual favorite?
my actual
Pick
favourite.
only
No!
one. There can
Tell the
only be one
truth, come
favorite
on.
instrument.
It's meow, isn't it, Ed?
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not meow. It's my
Is it the kazoo?
least favourite.
Is it the kazoo, though?
Kazoo's quite cool, but I'm going to pick a drum kit because some of these are just so much fun to play with.
Yeah, they're really nice.
We got this is sort of audio designer sort of artwork. It'll look nice to the
This is
listener.
not.
It's not final.
necessarily.
No.
That's pretty groovy. Oh yeah,
Yeah, that one.
Black Box Hyper. And you can see on this instrument, every time you open an instrument, basically, it's something new to play with and play in to explore. The sort of makeup of the effect fields is completely up to the person who designed the instrument.
Yeah.
And we're going to design an instrument in a minute just to show you how that works. But each time you open it, it's kind of like a fun sort of toy to play with.
Yeah, you can just explore the fields and find out how they sound, open the instrument up and play notes into it and see what's there.
Totally. So this Black Box Hyper drum kit, it's got a sort of filter field over there, so I know.
Nice.
And just as Bogdan was playing notes from the piano with the keypads, this time we've just like mapped the drum hits to each thing. So each time I press X, we get a drum kick, and then snares are on square, claps on triangle, etc., etc. So I'm going to try and do something that's going to complement this. I don't know what's going on.
That was absolutely on the money.
And there you can see it.
Why don't you give it like a a faster hi-hat rhythm there?
Faster hi-hats. Okay.
Do some trap hi-hats.
So try that. So that's a really good opportunity to show off one of the other features, which is called the arpeggiator. And arpeggios are normally like a sort of sequence of notes in a pattern, like going up or down. But you can also have arpeggios that just sort of repeat the same note over and over again.
If you've ever listened to Philip Glass, then you know what an arpeggio is. It goes diddle 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 forever.
So if I turn arpeggio on and hold down the button, I just get that sort of sequence. And that's because we've got
It's just playing the buttons for
those
you.
buttons. But if I go to patterns and just put repeat on, then I just get the sequence of those. And I can use the touchpad to... I didn't record that, so let's get that going. Count in.
So you see that Ed's using the touchpad there and changing the speed of the arpeggiator, which is automatically playing the notes really fast for you, so you don't have to be super ninja with the buttons.
Yeah, no one's super ninja.
There's a strong element of performance in everything.
And just from two instruments,
really
we've got
good.
something that's like a cool little
pretty good.
starter there. We can publish that and sell it for millions.
Yes.
We're going to be rich. And it's worth like mentioning this as well. We say this on every stream that like once you've made something you're happy with, like we've made this. This is a timeline that's collapsed down now. That's a piece of music. It's wonderful. We could publish that and share it with the rest of the community in Dreams just by hitting that button, save as new creation.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So yeah, that was my favourite instrument, like a little drum kit.
But let's talk a little bit about how instruments get made, because what instruments are made of is they're made of
Magic.
sound recording. They're made of
no.
magic and love and excitement, but they're also made out of sound recordings. And the PlayStation has a microphone on it. We've got a PlayStation Eye connected to our dev kit here, and so we can show you how you can very easily make a brand new sound, and put yourself in the game by recording yourself. And we're going to demonstrate this first of all with Bogdan's volunteered to go first.
It sounds like you just
prepare
wanted to.
yourselves for
very
some
stupid before it sounds good.
amazing sounding stuff. We're going to record Bogdan's voice and then edit it. And Bogdan's going to like beatbox. He's going to go right up to the camera where the microphone is, because that's what sounds
It's
best.
time for your close-up.
You have to
Bogdan.
get right close up, so prepare yourselves for this.
Are you ready?
Yes. Let me just take all the wires that I'm attached to.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do, Bogdan? You're going to beatbox for us, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Perfect. Well done, Bogdan. Now that we've actually had that recording, we can hold down X on the sound canvas that we've opened up here, and we should be able to hear him, hopefully. I've got arpeggiator on. Let's turn that off.
Yeah.
Nope.
Go.
Amazing.
Put the go in there as well.
Go!
That's brilliant. I think we should put go in the instrument as an additional bit.
So this is another way to look at what an instrument actually is. This is the sample view, sample viewer. And you can see that's the actual recording that we just recorded live. Bogdan, would you like to set up this instrument as it was your baby?
Go.
So I'm going to slice this down to just the cool parts. So that's what we call one slice, effectively. I'm going to clone that, and I'm going to make effectively 4 different here.
I like where this is going.
It's going to be virus.
That kick drum sounds really good. I like it.
You can do a mean snare as
No,
well.
it's
Like,
good, yeah.
That's going to be like my open hi-hat over there. Very realistic. You can kind of zoom in here as well and do kind of find everything. I'm kind of doing it at a very coarse level.
Yeah, have a look at the front edge. That's the important one.
Yeah.
If anyone has ever spent time looking at a sampler, all those days looking at the little Akai screen, this is.
I'm actually I'm gonna take that go because we recorded the go by mistake.
put
and
go
that was
in.
kinda cool.
I think we should all do a group go maybe, so we can, because it's
do
not just
another
me
one.
going.
All right.
No,
Come on.
turn it up.
Oh, dear.
What's that?
Go. 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 Go.
This is perfect. All right, so I've set that up
The
now.
enthusiasm in you.
And I'm
must
going
say,
to take
that's the
the
that
sound
makes
here
it.
that I've recorded. I'm going to make it a music clip, so it's an instrument that we can play. And I'm going to make it so it maps buttons to rows. I'll show you what that means in a
Yeah,
second.
you can turn those two off as well. Yeah, that's
Thanks.
it. Cool.
So you can see now it's saying that these controller buttons are assigned to these layers. So for example, if I were to press cross, I get that. If I press square, I get that. So now if I go to my performance view here, I can start playing what I've just done.
Go, 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 go.
There you go. So I'm gonna.
I'm going to kill you, Bogdan.
Go.
Go.
Right. I'm gonna
That kick
record
on
that now. Actually.
That's cool.
Go, go.
Yeah, so
Great.
let's,
I think you need to like we
trim
need
that
a
down.
field that shows how you can warp go to make it last
yeah,
forever.
maybe, yeah.
That's a firm no from Bogdan.
Yeah, maybe, but no. Maybe,
There you go.
but no,
So I
shut
made
up.
a cool little rhythm here. I'm actually going to stick that in a timeline just so we can mess around with it a bit more. But that's kind of like the general idea. Obviously, some instruments are a lot more complicated than this one.
You just made a
This is
virtual
very
instrument
simple.
in like 2 minutes. That's incredible.
So I'm going to stick that there. I've made it loop. I was going to maybe quickly demonstrate a bit as well how you can make your own effect fields.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to delete what I've just done and do another one with some cool effects. So if I go to search here, I can go to add search effect fields. And there's a bunch you can use by default, but I'm going to go a blank one. See, here we have a blank white effect field, which does nothing. So if I play in here, I get a normal sound.
Yeah. So you remember, like all the instruments before, they were all coloured and they were already set up, but you can add a blank one and just make your own thing out of it.
So this effect field, an effect field can affect anything in your sound. Literally every single parameter can be blended to by that field. So for example, I can make this field here go down in pitch by 12 semitones. I'm going to clone that field and put it in this corner, and I'm going to make this one go up in pitch by a bunch of semitones. And I'm going to make another one down here, which is going to do some crazy stuff.
Combine a bunch of different things.
So
That's the best thing they can
stuff.
do. They don't have to do just one thing. You can have all the effects on at once if you want when you do that.
Yes.
So let's see, I'm going to make this one be a
Crazy
different color as well,
randomised
just so it's cooler. Right, so when I play over here,
Yeah.
That actually sounds like a good hit. That's nuts.
and hopefully when I play over here, we'll get something cool.
Go.
Right, so let's just record that again. I'm going to make a spicier sort of beat here.
Spicy.
Go. Go.
There you go.
I think you need to
I'm
use
gonna
the bottom
I'm going to add a
field.
layer as well here, yeah.
Go. Go.
So again, we can look at this here, and actually, I think
Go. Go.
why don't we put this?
Yeah.
Go. Go. Go.
So I'm actually going to take this pattern, and I'm going to double press cross on one of these notes, select everything, clone everything, and do a little fill at the end. It's going to be cool.
Big finish.
This.
Can you make it go at the end?
Maybe. I was going to do just a big
No.
snare rush here.
Don't listen to me.
Go on, give us a snare rush.
You just want go, go, go.
No, we don't.
Okay.
kind of do one go, 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 go. Yeah, I think we do.
See?
If Ed doesn't want to do it, it's probably a good idea.
Go. Go.
Have some nice aggressive things there. There you go. Change my quit size here. And I mean, I can spend hours kind of doing this basically and adding different effects and stuff
You
like
shouldn't.
that. And yeah, I'm not going to. But here we
It's
are.
effectively playing with
Nice little
yourself.
thing. And I think the plan is now Ed will embarrass himself.
No, I think we should go.
It's my
I think I
turn
already have.
first.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
going to do that.
there you go. Actually,
All right,
I
you're
should
going
probably
to just
record you.
recording
Yeah.
engineer me, please. Thank you. All right, I'm just going to
Okay.
take out my headphones for a second.
You
so
know
I
what
can
to do.
approach the microphone. Okay,
So when I
hello
stamp this
everyone.
down, it'll be recording effectively.
Ready?
Here we go.
La.
Cool.
There.
Now
Very
then.
nice job.
I've been practicing that for days.
Do you want to edit your own sound?
Yes, I'd like to, please. Thank you. Hold on. Let me just put my headphones back in.
Let's make this into an instrument.
Okay. Give me the controller, thank you. Okay, so again, we're just going to do this simple thing of like editing the start and end point of this, and I'm just going to make an instrument just out of this one recording, which if we just go in here, we can just grab the start point and move it. So
La, la, la.
there we are, la.
La, la.
Such a beautiful voice, Tom.
Thank you, I've been practicing.
Official
honestly,
game
it
development.
really has.
Yeah, all those lessons
Yeah.
are paying off.
I know, exactly. I've been in audio for a long time just to do this. Okay, great. So now if I just play that without doing anything further.
La, 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 la.
There. Oh, let's change this key and scale. Let's go to D minor, the sad key.
La, 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 la.
Okay, great. But that's just one of me, and really, I'd like there to be more of me. So I'm going to take this opportunity to add a field, which I'm going to use to sort of make it sound like there's lots of copies of me all singing at the same time. And the sort of magic of grain technology allows me to do this. So I've just added a blank field here. And then in this field, I'm going to turn on the grains. And the grains are just like chopping up the sound into tiny, tiny bits. And we can chop the sound into tiny, tiny bits and then play them over each other a lot, which makes it sound like there's lots more than just one person. So if I just turn the time stretching on, anyone who knows about time stretching already, this just makes the sound go slow. So if I just do this,
La,
and we just do this here.
la, la.
Oh, it's entering the matrix.
Yes, so I'm going to make them all overlap and just going to put that back to there. And then sort of randomize the grains a little bit and do some other stuff.
You don't have to know what you're doing here either.
Exactly.
Most of the time,
Yeah,
we
just-
just like move the sliders.
With the sliders until it sounds good. Play with the sliders and pretend we know what we're doing.
You can also find pre-made
You
Audio
guys
is
should
really
know what
hard.
you're doing.
Yeah. We do know what we're doing, honestly.
That's our
we
secret.
do.
But the really cool thing is you can make an effect field and publish it, which does a cool effect, and then everyone will have access to it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it's
La,
There you go. It's a choir of me.
la.
Also, another thing about this, which is cool, we showed you the arpeggiator. I'm going to show you the chords as well, because chords are really nice. Obviously, like on the PlayStation, it's hard to press more than one button at once. So what we've got is an assist mode to allow you to press multiple buttons at the same time, and it works in a very similar way to the arpeggiator. We're in the key of D minor at the moment, and when I press a button now, because I've turned on chord mode, it's actually going to play the first and the third and the fifth note of D minor, which is a lovely sounding chord like this. It's a triad.
La.
And if I go over here, there, beautiful. I'm just going to turn it down a bit. It's a little bit loud.
La.
Too much Tom.
Too much Tom. How's that?
There's
It's
never
not
too much Tom,
possible.
right.
All right, let's put it in the timeline, and I'm just going to record a little quiet part. Okay, and turn on the metronome and the counting, so I know when to start recording, and I'm going to press these two.
Go. 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 Go.
There you go.
it's a hit.
Okay, now it's Ed's turn. I'm gonna,
do I have to?
Yeah, go on. We need bass, and we need like self-created bass.
Self-created
other way.
bass.
So have a listen. You want to hear the notes so you can
Oh, right, okay.
be in tune.
I think I got it.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay, let's get the recording thing.
You ready?
You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Brilliant. Dave's just trying to get in on the game. Dave wants to play. You can't see him, but Dave just leading. What he really wants is the crossword.
Yeah, suddenly handing Dave Smith the
He can't-
crossword puzzle.
Never mind the stream. Dave wants the crossword. Right.
Are you
Okay,
okay
Ed.
there, Dave? Bye.
Hi, Dave.
Thank you.
Let's make this into something passable. I'm going to cut the beginning off it because you don't need that all. You don't need all of that. You just need a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe let's boost it. Do. Magic is happening. Right, so let's, first of all, I think we'll just take the...
You have to make it an instrument as well, because it's still a...
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
turn off chords. That's
Yeah.
probably not helping you.
it's a very noisy.
Yeah, there's a certain amount. Do you want to do another take? Are you happy with that?
I'm happy.
Okay, cool.
Let's roll with it.
Yes.
Distortion.
I'm just trying to get that low. Oh, I know.
Good.
That's brilliant. So, Bogdan, you shout out distortion. Let's add a little bit.
It's severe distortion. There you go.
Oh, you know, I don't think that's quite right. Let's turn that off. But I think we could do with some maybe chorus.
Yes.
That will sort of double the amount of us there. What else? Maybe we'll add some EQ. This is just a nice way to add some different frequencies in, so we can boost that.
So for any audio knowledgeable people out there, this is an EQ, which shows you the frequencies when you're editing them, so you can see the effect that you're having on the sound whilst it's playing. Just a nice feature. Thank you, Alex.
Well, in the spirit of like keeping this going, I'm going to add an effect field as well.
Yes.
What should this effect field do, Tom, do you think?
Maybe
Distortion.
make everything freak out and go nuts. Yes. Put it
How
on
about
the-
like make
on
it
the
pitch up
stream
by
where you
12
think.
or something?
Yeah.
And add
that's good.
distortion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Maybe do a little EQ tweak as well, because that's quite a nice thing to add in a field.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
There you go.
Scoop the mids.
Scoop the mids.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the effect fields set of effects. This is not the sound. This is what the effect field will do to the sound
Yes.
when you go into it. Is what that's doing.
And I know we're not talking about sound effects this time, but all these sort of features exist on every single sound in Dreams. So if you're doing like a spaceship engine, and you wanted to make a cool like sort of pass by that goes,
Yeah.
it's exactly the sort of way you do that, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, the instruments and the music and the sound effects, they're all based in the same thing. So you can do musical things with sound effects and vice versa.
Yeah.
But there'll be another stream about that another day.
Good.
Nailed it. So I'll loop that and there we go.
Good.
This is the official Dreams soundtrack. Actually, all of the instruments in Dreams are made with Ed and Tom's voices. That's why
Say
they
that
sound
again,
so-
Bogdan. I don't think we heard you.
Yeah, that's all the instruments in Dreams are made with Ed and Tom's voices.
Yeah,
That's why they sound
that's
so
it.
real.
That's the sound of dreams, essentially.
Lies. One nice thing is that you can have all these open at one time. So Bogdan, if you wanted to jam out using all of those instruments, you could.
Yeah, you can like make a sort of performance interface for yourself where you can use all of them.
Oh, why don't we add our special bonus instrument that we recorded earlier?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the puzzle. We've got a little puzzle for everyone.
Yes.
Special treat for everyone.
So what's the story of the instrument?
Well, we practiced this earlier, and something happened, and we made a mystery instrument, and we were hoping maybe you guys could guess what it is.
There's a special prize. If you can listen to this instrument, you can guess accurately
What is the prize,
what
Tom?
the sound is.
There's no
The
prize.
prize is
Our lawyers
you
have
get
advised us.
to know that you won, and that is a massive prize.
Oh, okay.
You get to know that you won the prize.
Well done.
So,
Self-satisfaction.
yeah, exactly.
So it's heavily processed.
Yeah.
So we've done all
If
that
you-
stuff.
If you can identify what the original sound was, then awesomeness will be yours.
All right, play us.
Mystery.
Make it a bit louder, actually.
Ooh.
To down an octave.
It's really nice. I like it.
It's actually quite nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really cool.
Any guesses what this?
No
actually
one's
might
got.
be?
I mean, there's a lot of guesses.
Yeah.
Guessing.
Like you know,
Has anybody got it yet?
like a phone going off or wind chimes.
Close,
close.
An ice cream van bell.
Yeah.
Oh, someone did get it. Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, someone got it.
Wow.
Hey, congratulations. Okay, we'll read out
Someone
your
guessed
line live.
alarm, which was correct.
Yay,
We
well
have
done.
a fire
well
drill
done.
here, and the
Yeah.
fire
Let's
alarm went
just
off.
hear-
So we just recorded it while we were here, just from the PlayStation camera, and they made it into an instrument.
Let's hear what it sounds like without all the processing. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
after everyone's added.
If you just pull it, well, that shows a nice feature. Is if you pull it out and turn it into a new instrument.
We also did
No, I
not
think that
evacuate and risk
preserves the
burning to
settings.
death for the stream. So.
Yeah. We'll just copy it out into a new instrument. Then you
No, because
can-
that preserves its settings. So we
Does
want
it?
to show exactly what it's like
Okay.
without any of the processing. Turn off all the granular synthesis and stuff that everyone did to it.
Cool. Yeah, so
Turn
this
off
is
all the different crazy effects and pitch shifting.
To be fair, the medium molecule alarm sounds quite nice.
So
It
listen-
does, yeah.
It's
listen
all
to
come
this.
to an album.
That's what we were. That's what we were.
It's like a happy
practicing to
tune.
earlier.
It's very politely saying, "Please leave the building."
La, la.
But
You're
we took that
gonna
sound, made it into a pad.
That's really cool.
Anyway, I think the last thing we were going to demo in the timeline is how effect fields can be used in here.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good.
So
Put that
effect
on there.
fields, again, they're like the bread and butter of doing cool sounds in the Dreams audio tools. And you can use them elsewhere. You can use them in the world, just loosely. You can use them in microchips, and you can use them in timelines. So I'm going to demonstrate how they fit into a timeline. So remember we made this track
Go.
with the crazy go sound.
bass.
You could add some more
And-
instruments to it if you want to polish it, you know.
No, it's perfect. I'm going to get a blank effect, and you can see if I put it in the timeline as a component, it displays a zone within which the effect is active. So effectively, I can sequence effects in the timeline. I don't have to do it just via performing. I can just apply them in post.
You can see the color there is just across the whole timeline, so that's showing you like everything that's in that timeline, everything that's in that area of color is affected by this field now.
Yeah, so for example, I can make this field be a pitch down effect. So I'm going to make this one go down -12 semitones, and you'll hear what happens when the timeline reaches this point. But you can go further. You can do things like fade in this effect over time, and you'll get a dive bomb type.
Good.
Let's actually make it more
More.
intense.
We're
So-
choosing these kind of effects to just show like how it's working and give an obvious example. Obviously, you can do more subtle and kind of, you know, cool, tasteful sounding things. We're just going, yes, use lots of pitch and everything just to
There's
show
one
you
that does some
the
filtering.
sort of impact of the tool.
So this
Subtle.
one applies-
Yeah. I'm sometimes subtle, as we know.
That actually shows off a bit of the filter envelope. It's not actually what I wanted. Let's just turn this off and see what this sounds like.
It's cool.
Groovy.
At the end, we can make this just fade out, and I think that'll be the end of this track. I think it's like ship it basically.
It's basically shippable.
Wow.
All right.
Whoa, look at that.
It's a banger.
I think the next thing we're going to do is potentially a bit of logic.
Logic-y
right?
type things. Yeah. Can I? I'll
Yeah.
start. Yeah. So, the really exciting thing for me about Dreams is not just that you've basically got like a full suite of tools for making music, and there's these sort of really novel manipulation techniques that you can use, but the fact that Dreams has art tools and sound tools and logic tools all sort of wrapped in a single place, and they're all linked together by the same logic system. So you can plug bits and pieces of information from one thing to another, so we can control the music with other things, and the music can control things as well. So we're just going to show you a little bit of that. So the example that we wanted to show is we've got this little character over here. I'm just pulling the music right down into a level. Traffic's gone
Just
crazy
sample
out
that.
there. So this is our sort of default puppet character. And if I look inside here, I've got the character's brain, and inside here we've got some parameters that you can use to control things, and here's this thing called walking strength. This is essentially the speed the character's moving at. And if I take a wire out of there and I plug it into the tempo of the music, then the music is going to play at a different speed depending on how fast the character walks. So now if we go into play mode, where's the note?
The music is frozen.
Go. Yeah.
If you walk slowly.
Go.
Nice.
So there you go, it's a very simple demonstration of some logic things there. And the other way round that we can look at this is the music can drive some stuff that happens in the level. So if we want to, what we're going to do, we're going to make his head glow, I think. Should we make that happen?
Sure.
Yeah, why
Or
not?
the apple or something, you know.
The apple, let's make the apple glow. Why not? Let's put the apple here, like right next to the timeline so you can see it really clearly.
I think it's actually physical, so you might fall off.
Is it? No, it's not anymore. Okay, great. So
Ignore gravity.
the sounds, the instruments have all got outputs that go into the data system. We can just take a little look at those. You've got outputs like what note is playing, what per beat something's happening, and so on. So we're just going to put an output in that we're going to record a keyframe to store the glowiness value on this apple. And make the apple glow, which is here, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get a keyframe. I don't know if you remember keyframes from before, but a keyframe is a way of storing a bunch of parameters that live in Dreams. So I can just store how much glowiness the apple has inside this keyframe. So now when that keyframe gets turned on, the apple will glow. And if I take, there's a per beat trigger coming out of that instrument, and so I can connect that to the power on the keyframe, and now every beat the apple will glow. Smoothing.
Yeah,
Tempo.
unplug the tempo thing.
Yeah, sorry.
We can't do that.
Oh, we need the guy to be, okay. So there you go, a flashing apple. What more could you want? I've always wanted to make a flashing apple in a game. It's just like
Like
my life's dream.
If you've seen the eyeball level, maintain eye contact that Ed did, that's actually like, that's how that was done.
I know we need to show something. Why don't we show your beatbox thing?
We
I
can
think
move on.
we've
I think
pre-prepared that.
next. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should finish with that, but we could do some maybe
we-
questions or something from
Yeah, any
from
questions?
Twitch.
Well,
Do we
there's
have
a
any?
lot of questions about importing, and obviously you showed it.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So that's one way of importing it.
Yeah, I guess we should say that, like, in addition to being able to like record your own voice with the microphone, you can also take sounds that you've recorded. Like, if you're a sort of home bedroom musician or whatever, you can record sounds yourself, and then you can import those as well. So you can make, just like we've made instruments and put them in our library and made a fantastic library of stuff, you can also do that yourself. You can go to a great length of time and record an instrument really carefully, record every note on your favorite instrument, then bring it into Dreams, and then you can play that instrument in Dreams. So it's a sort of huge degree of flexibility and stuff. You
Actually,
can
we
make
just
any
had
sound.
one of our programmers throw us a curveball where he plugged in an audio interface into the PS4 and recorded his guitar right in.
Oh yes, you can do that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Interestingly, unexpectedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other?
Someone just asked if you can separately activate multiple tracks on a music sequencer.
Yes, you can.
Just you just want to answer yes to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
As
There's
in,
a lot of
I mean,
that.
we can do a quick demo of that.
There's
if we
one
have
like,
time.
could you play a track in reverse? I believe someone asked.
You can. In fact, you can control the playhead to go anywhere you want. You can drive the playhead in real time from, like, any parameter in the game.
Should we do
So the
that?
timeline doesn't have to just go forwards. It can just stop or go back or
Ed,
wave
go on.
around.
I think it's
Show us
easiest to
that.
hear this when we've got something that's sort of not
bit
so
better.
wacky. Oh, I wasn't say better because this is perfect. I mean, it doesn't actually get any better than this.
Okay.
But if we grab some of our little loops that we've
Yeah.
made from before, or even one of our tracks, we
Yeah,
could do that.
let's do that.
How about a whole track?
Yeah, why not? Grab a whole track.
So from, what am I doing?
Sound mode.
Sound mode.
There you go.
And then I go search. Which one should we do it with? Bogdan's
Chiptune.
thing? Chiptune one?
Yeah.
Twitchy music?
Yeah.
Fluff bucket. So you notice that we can grab this playhead.
Right.
Oh,
No, it's just because of
because of the music. Sorry, I can't talk and listen to fast chipes at the same time.
No.
So when you grab the playhead, you can shuttle it around like so. And you can do that whilst the game is running. Noise. And I think you can do this. You can plug directly into the playhead.
You
with-
can,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
you
So what should we do that with? Maybe
maybe get a slider and just demonstrate.
a slider.
Yeah,
That's a
make
useful gadget.
piston.
I'm not going to make a piston because that takes a bit longer. We've got we've got like a few minutes, but
Yeah, we're kind of running
Oh
out
yeah,
of
of
time a
course,
little
yeah.
bit.
but if I grab this value slider, this is a nice little tool.
Sort of a debugging thing that you can use.
I just plug that into the playhead. So when time starts, this now becomes hopefully.
Oh, it doesn't sound.
Well, there are bugs, but normally.
Hey! So
The gadget wasn't powered.
So actually, we can see the value of 0.21 is telling us that is where the music is sort of trapped. And this is a really interesting concept. Although that sounds like nonsense, you can actually imagine that could be, in sound effects land, that could be an elevator going up. You could use a timeline to sort of stagger your sounds of like the elevator starting and then stopping as it gets to the completion of its movement.
We use this all the time in sound effects.
I think we'll show that at some point.
Yes, we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's to show like the position of the music can be.
But
quite-
imagine like it could be your character is falling and the fall speed plugs into the
Yes.
playhead,
Yep.
and you can go through a smoother, so it's smooth, so it kind of like moves around in a wobbly way, which means you can, for example, make it go back and play backwards. Or
Does that
ping
answer
pong,
the question, or is that like a
I mean, it's kind of like a roundabout sort of way to answer the question.
That's
It
a
is-
crazy tangent.
It's possible to do much more than just play backwards.
Yes,
is what I'm.
true.
And there was also, sort of questions about organizing and labeling and customizing like the names and titles of instruments.
Sure.
Oh, you can
yeah,
change
you can do that.
So,
Do all that stuff.
Everything.
keep people organized.
Yeah, you can rename just by clicking the name of that, and it'll take you to that.
Yep.
Any other?
Sweet.
Yep, you can
yeah,
name
I mean,
your
there's
fields
there's
as
a
well.
ton of like lots of different things. Some of which are answered previously in the stream.
Cool.
Some of which we can't get to today. And some of which are things that we'll cover in the future. There's like more than we can even ever get to here.
Sorry.
That's
Well,
okay.
there's more.
But there's a lot of questions though about sound effects and how this translates to that. And I
Yeah.
think it is important to point out that a lot of what we're doing with making instruments and stuff is very similar to how you make
Yes.
sound effects in Dreams.
Yes. The tools you use for sound effects are the same tools you use for music in many ways. There's no sound tool and music tool. They're the same technology. So, for example, the time when we changed the granular synthesis settings on the instrument, you could easily do that on a sound. In fact, you can do it on your whole level. They all go in the same timelines. The same kind of components are used for both disciplines, effectively.
I mean, also similarly, we've shown you like we've got some pre-made music, we've got pre-made instruments that we're shipping with the game. Also, there are pre-made sound effects, and there are pre-made bits and pieces of kit that you can use to sort of the combinations of sound effects and logic that you can put onto your different different objects in the game and make them sound good. So,
Someone just asked, is there orchestral sounds? And there will be some.
yeah,
We've got this one. This is a clarinet. We noticed that in Dreams, it's a lot easier to sort of build instruments around a particular sort of technique on an instrument. So this one I've called clarinet staccato. And actually that can be like sort of changed into all sorts of different sounds. You could stretch that out to make it a legato, or you
Yes.
can make it into like a synth bass. So there's not enough time in the world to give you every single sort of orchestral sound. I think we'll continue to keep adding sounds. Like
Yes.
There's a bigger variety of sounds in general than there is variety within a certain subgenre. So we want to touch on various types of sounds.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah, yeah.
electronics, you've got more folky things, you've got some orchestral things.
Yeah.
You've got weird things.
many weird things.
And if you
Many
just
weird
wanted to
things.
sing over this track and just record your own voice, could that
Sure.
too?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah,
You can do
yeah.
it the same way we just recorded everything else.
It's not that I was saying that to just try to goad you into like doing some karaoke right here. That's not what I meant at all.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, boo.
But you
Everybody
haven't-
agrees with me. Boo.
Sad. Okay.
Can I show you a quick trick?
yeah.
Trick.
Quick twig.
Sure.
And this relates to sound design a lot as well. So you
This is
notice
important
that this is very
difference.
cool.
Yeah.
In Dreams, everything is sort of played at the moment just sort of two-dimensional, which means it's not really positioned in the world. Any sound, whether it's your instrument or whether it's your sound effects or your voice or anything, can be made to be positioned in the world. And you do that by the flick of a button there. And I've made that drum kit now sort of positioned, and it has a little handle, a lot like the trigger zones that we've seen before. Just make that bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can see that is going to be where the drums of this track are going to come from. In fact, let's put them over by the tent. It's still sequenced with the rest of it because it lives on the timeline, but when I play, drums don't start if I'm on the 2 bars, sorry. I get away from him. Drums are left behind. And that's a really cool way of doing like little bits of interactive music.
Panning around, so.
Yeah, I'm panning around. And you can hear the drums now because we're where we placed them.
Yeah, and they're off to the right now.
And that's a different clip. But you could basically do a piece of music where like you enter a cave and a whole new element of the track is brought in just simply because you've placed it in the cave. Exactly. You don't have to do anything smart with it, you just drag it there.
I mean, this is commonly the technique you use for positioning sound effects in the world, so that's why we're showing you this, is to show you that this is a kind of a more sound effect specific kind of thing, is that you want your sound effects to be located on your character or on your campfire or wherever, but you can also do this with the music. It's all the same thing, it's all the same stuff.
All right, well, we will be sure to do an awesome detailed stream
we'll
on
do a
just
sound
sound
effects
effects in the future, because that will be awesome. We are
we finish
sort
with
of getting
Bogdan's
close
beatbox?
to out of time. That said, if you have more questions, we will get to what we can on our other social networks. So find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, whatever you prefer. Ask us things. If you missed the beginning of the stream, a lot of stuff we are getting asked, we talked about earlier. So there's a lot in there. And Bogdan has like a really special thing to play us out. We have like a grand finale to the music stream.
Yeah, we're gonna go pretty deep into the logic now. No. So this is something I was doing in my spare time, just messing around. It's called a beatbox. It's a synth sort of machine that I've made in Dreams. I sculpted this. I put little rivets and everything. I made the individual little buttons. I made the
beat
LED
roots.
displays there. Yeah, the beat roots here. It's actually a box of actual beats.
I love the colour of
And
the
what
leaves.
it is, yeah, it's a way in which you can make music or perform music without being in edit mode. This is running entirely in play mode, so it's an instrument made in Dreams that I've then published. It's actually quite simple. It does sound a bit strange. It's quite experimental sort of IDM stuff.
Take it away.
Yeah, there are various sort of... I'll explain what it is before I start because it's going to be very loud. So these are all individual beats that you can turn on. And that's in a matrix of effects you can sequence. And I'll show you how that works in a second. And here there are ways in which I can add more reverb, add more delay. Degrade is basically an effect where it removes some percentage of the notes that are playing, so I can make the track a bit more procedural. I can do pitch shifting up and down with the amp here. I can change the tempo in real time. I can do crazy effects like random tempo shifts and pitch shifting. And yeah, I'm just going to freak out a little bit with it, basically.
Yeah. So show us a bit how that's made very quickly.
So
That's really cool.
effectively, I'm going to set it back to normal. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and we're going to look at the logic for this in brief. So there's quite a lot. There's a camera, there's a bunch of lighting, there's a bunch of different buttons which I've made and sort of published. They all have their own logic and stuff like that. There are little LED displays which I made. Every little bit of this is just a thing. There's logic inside each of these chips. So I spent quite a bit of time on this to make it sort of my own tailored instrument. And the way it works basically is each one of these buttons here is a switch which can activate a different layer of music in a timeline, which is over here.
This is the cool thing about this, is like the heart of this whole thing is the timeline. It's basically using the same stuff that we've been using all through this this stream, is the timeline for making music and placing effects fields and stuff. And Bogdan has just made this really cool interface for it.
Yeah, and the matrix of effects here, basically each row plugs into an instance of an effect field on a timeline. So you can sequence which ones are on, which ones are off. And there are kind of global effects here, which like random pitch, delay and reverb, crazy freezing effects. There's a timeline of other stuff in there as well. There's more logic in here, for example, where if I press the random tempo shifts button here and I hold it, it randomizes tempo shifts using keyframes here. So it does kind of generative tempo changes in real time. So it's music that is playing, but I have control over it in play mode. So, I mean, with a bit more work on this, I could probably take it on a stage and perform a show with my PS4.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And do the kind of crazy music that I normally do. when I play live.
I'd watch that.
We will
Yeah.
make that
I would
happen.
see
Yeah.
that.
Look at these beats; they're really realistic.
Can we throw beats at you if it's good?
Yeah, they're really spicy beats as well.
And if it's bad.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the beatbox.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
That's kind of
Bogdan.
Bogdan, you're
Well done,
a
Bogdan.
genius.
That's amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
yeah, that was our grand finale, Bogdan. That was so cool. Thank you so much for joining us on the stream. We will be doing another one next month. It's a secret what it is. I don't know. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the music stream. Thank you so much, Bogdan, Tom, and Ed, for joining us. You guys are
pleasure. It was
amazing.
fun.
That was super
Thanks
fun.
for watching, everyone.
And thank you all for watching at home. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.